Welcome to this week's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Cheryl Tibbs, founder of Equipment Leaseco. I say that right?
Yes.
Perfect. First time. Nice, nice. So, Cheryl, thank you for joining me today. It's nice to see you on here. I see you all over LinkedIn, read your material. So it's good to get to know you a little bit more from an online presence perspective. But appreciate you giving me some of your time today so me and my audience can learn a little bit more about you.
Not a problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Nope, absolutely. So Cheryl, for those people who might not be familiar or had the pleasure of meeting you yet, do you mind just kind of introducing yourself and your career to date in equipment finance?
Sure. I'm Cheryl Tibbs. I'm the CEO and founder of Equipment Leaseco. We're an equipment finance brokerage located in Douglasville, Georgia. I founded Equipment Leaseco back in 2018, Jesse. I've been in finance all of my life, all of my adult life, and some of my childhood. People laugh. They say, well, when did you start? I said, when I was 12. I used to subscribe to Entrepreneur Magazine, and I was so intrigued with the money brokering articles and the loan in a box kits. I ordered one at 12 and just kind of self-taught. And I've just kind of been in that space since I was 12. But I've been in the on the equipment finance side since 2018. I started One Stop Commercial Capital back in 2010. We were primarily doing merchant cash advances, business term loans, invoice factoring, that type of thing. And then in 2018, a light bulb went off, and I wanted to get out of the MCA only space. And I realized that I was getting a lot of requests for equipment. So I said, well, maybe we'll carve equipment as a separate equipment finance brokerage out of One Stop, and we'll let One Stop be the cash advance arm, and then Equipment Leaseco will be the equipment financing arm. And that's how it came about.
Okay, that's awesome. I mean, in the fact that you got involved in 12 and just kind of stuck with it your entire time, that's pretty remarkable.
Oh yeah.
So cash advances in 2010. You mentioned invoice factoring, like the receivables factoring. That's always been an interesting kind of thing. It's intriguing to me. Why'd you start there?
Well, I was a mortgage broker up until about 2007, I believe. I've been a mortgage broker since I left college and up to about 2006. Really, the end of 2006, I was diagnosed the first time with cancer. I went through what I went through for about a year or two. And when I decided that I was ready to work again, I was ready to live again, life as I knew it in the mortgage arena had changed. The big bubble happened, licensing laws came about. It was my understanding we went from being able to make 10, 12, sometimes 20 points on a deal down to 2 or 1.5. So there's no money involved in that. And I sought out a way to make as much money as I used to make when I was in financing. And that led me to the business sector. So I got involved in commercial finance about 2009, 2010, and found my way into the merchant cash advance arena.
Perfect. So, Equipment Leaseco, you spun that off from One Stop. Do you mind just kind of talking about that particular entity, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. What actually happened, I had my first bad experience with merchant cash advances and getting backdoored. And I'd always heard the horror stories of getting backdoored. If you send your deal over to a funder, they may have a friend, they're going to decline it for you, and they have a friend they'll send it to and get it approved and cut you out.
Come on.
I had my first experience in 2018 with that. I was on the phone with the customer. He says, well, hey, Cheryl, did you send my deal to so-and-so? And I said, no, what are you talking about? And it ended up being almost a backdoor situation. And then I said, you know what, there has to be a way for me to make as much money doing MCAs as I do, with something else. And so I said, you know what? Equipment finance. Some of my customers want MCAs to take that money to buy equipment. So why not just spin off equipment leasing, brokering? And I learned that the barrier to entry for that was not as wide as it is for the MCA space. So I loved it. And I've parked my wheel here ever since.
No, that's fantastic. And typically, like the working capital or all those people that I've dealt with in my career, they have equipment finance first, and then they offer a secondary product, which is the working capital. So
Hmm.
you're on the other side of that.
Well, I was on the other side of that, but currently 80% of my business is equipment finance, leasing and loans right now. We do very few merchant cash advances. I was telling somebody I did more working capital deals in 2022 than I did in 5 years put together. So,
Well, that's not telling you something. Now,
absolutely.
are you a generalist in regards to the equipment that you broker, or do you have any specialties or
I
specialty
started
like
out, Jesse.
lines?
Yeah, I started out being a generalist, and then I migrated to the trucking industry, and I love trucking. I've funded millions of dollars with several funders in trucking, and that's kind of what I become known for. Is if you've got a trucking deal, give Cheryl a call. So, even though I won't say that's a specialty right now, we're trying to move into other arenas, heavy equipment and that type of thing. But I still get tons of trucking deals every month.
I was going to ask you. I didn't know about that. Kind of what are you seeing in the in the trucking industry? 3 years ago, we probably were like, oh no, here we go again.
Yeah,
You were fortunate enough to not to be in trucking in
right,
2007 to
right.
2009, but are you seeing a little bit of a turn,
Uh,
with that industry?
for the most part, I've seen a lot of the funders and the lenders tighten their guidelines. We're still doing owner operators. We're still doing acquisition deals for people that have bad credit. They've got a down payment. There are still funders out there that will fund those types of deals. But what I've seen is just guidelines tightening up with some of my A-paper folk who used to would take a deal from us. If they've got 3 in fleet, that went up to 20. I'm like, oh my God, from 3 to 20, that's a big margin. But that's where we are.
It's yeah, especially with like different like petrol prices and everything else that's going
Hmm.
on. You're just like,
Hmm.
okay, let's hang in there, trucking
Hmm.
industry, and
Yep.
make sure things are going good there. So, next thing I want to chat about real quick, if you don't mind, is just like overall thoughts on the equipment finance, industry. So, in 2010 with One Stop, did you seek out the associations, or I guess what was your first industry event?
My first industry event was actually the bank for
Oh, the bank.
the
Okay.
cash advance space. I attended a debanked event and I loved that. But in 2018, when I got primarily involved with equipment finance, we joined NEFA. We've been a member of NEFA. We attend the AACFB events, and we attend the NACLB events as well.
Okay. I've never been to an NACLB before. What is
That's the
certified leasing
National
brokers?
Alliance of Commercial Loan
Oh,
Brokers that
commercial
they
loan
have
brokers.
out in
Okay.
Vegas at Caesar's Palace every year, and it's usually the same time every year. It's a huge broker event. They have funders from all different types of commercial finance sectors. There's equipment guys there. There's working capital, invoice factoring, real estate. It's just a plethora of folk there from all types of industries.
Interesting. I was talking with Jamie Haver last week, and she mentioned that she was going to that one.
Hmm.
And now that I'm hearing it twice in less than a
Yeah.
week, maybe that's something. Vegas
Yeah.
isn't that far from me. It's like a 30-minute flight.
Oh, wow. Lucky you.
Yeah, yeah. Now getting to Atlanta, that can be a little bit of
That's
a
different. Yeah.
that's a little different. But how many people typically go to the NACLB?
I've seen numbers in the 800s looking at the LinkedIn profile. I can't think of the gentleman's name who runs that, but they have record numbers every year. I went to their very first one and it was amazing.
I mean, Caesar's Palace is not a bad
Yeah.
place either. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just a challenge of trying to put on a conference in Vegas.
Hmm.
Are people going to focus or
Right.
not?
Right. Right. I think I attended an AACFB conference in Vegas at Caesars. I think it was at Caesars. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. So, as far as like NEFA, I guess
Mhm.
what kind of wanted, what drove you to join that association, Cheryl?
Well, because it's specific to what I want to do, which is to be an equipment finance professional, and it's specific to that. I've met a lot of lenders and funders and other broker colleagues who are part of NEFA that have encouraged me to attend some of those events, and so I've attended those events, and it's been well worth it. And anytime they have something, I try to go.
So you're going to be attending the San Antonio conference
Absolutely.
this year?
I'm on the committee, and I'll actually I'm one of the roundtable panelists. I'll be talking about AI in San Antonio. So yes.
Well, you just led me into a next topic of discussion then. Without giving away what you're going to be discussing on the panel. How are you leveraging AI to run your business?
Jesse, I've got a 2-year plan
at a high level, because we want to make sure people are still going there.
I got you. I've got a 2-year plan for my career. In 2 years, I'll be 60 years old. And my plan has always been, when I turn 60, I want to be able to walk away from the day-to-day operation of my equipment finance business. I am putting my business in position so that in 2 years, I can walk away from the day-to-day, and it's still running. We're still funding deals. But I want to be able to do something else that I enjoy, that I love. And when that chat GPT, when that stuff came out a few months ago, I jumped on that and, by the horn. And I've paid thousands of dollars for mentorships. I've taken several courses and classes, and have just really learned how to use AI and chat GPT and some of the other stuff in the equipment finance space. We use it every day in my office, whether it's to do email campaigns, generate content. Right now we're deploying chat bots that are actually qualifying customers, previous customers. That's something that we did today. We started a campaign with a chat bot that will go out and seek previous people that have applied for funding with us and for some reason didn't go through. We took that list and we dropped it in Go High Level, and the chatbot is going out saying, hey, you applied for financing once upon a time. And I've programmed that thing to ask the right questions to be able to qualify, so that I'll only get qualified leads back. So I love it. So yeah. So in 2 years, when I walk away from this thing, I want to some kind of way have my hand in AI.
Well, that's perfect. You just have to make sure you record your voice.
Yes.
And it understands how you talk, so then you can just kind of keep it going and just go from there. But I remember the first time I saw ChatGPT, I think the person was explaining it to me I think they went a little too extreme with the question. They asked it to write a Seinfeld script, and I was like, what? And it was like, based on this premise. And this thing literally wrote out an entire script. And I'm like, what is going on? Is there going to be any original thought
I know.
moving forward? Or like you say, from a content perspective, it's like, where I found it, because you can, one of those things you can turn your head and you're like, or you can embrace it and figure out a way to work it within your business. So that's kind of what I did. So, I basically put all my stuff on there. So now when I ask it a question, I'm like, okay, here's my articles that I've written myself. It knows who I am, my personality, my writing style. This is what I'm doing. This is the paragraph that I wrote. Can you please, state this paragraph
in your tone.
State in this paragraph, what am I missing here? And it just gives me some other additional thoughts. So I still feel like I'm doing the work, but it's just making my work maybe suck less, if that's an appropriate terminology.
It's amazing. We're actually, and I know we talked about BFIN, which is the Black Equipment Finance Network. We actually have a webinar with myself, Kareem Jernigan, and George Parker on Thursday afternoon. We're doing a chat GPT roundtable and how to leverage it in the equipment finance space. So we'll be talking about some of these things, and there'll be some case studies that we'll present. It's going to be an amazing time.
So this upcoming roundtable, I've had the pleasure of working with Kareem. I don't know if you know this or not, but when I left my last job that I was at for 10 years, Kareem reached out to me and said, "Hey, I wasn't going to go with your company, but can you help me out?" So he was actually Consult Disrupt's first ever client.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
So,
Small
so
world.
I Kareem's a great guy, and
Yeah, he
George
is.
Parker. I remember my first, leasing conference that I went to in 2005. He was one of the first people. It was a NIFA conference. He was one of the
Hmm.
first people to come up to me and shake my hand. So
Hmm.
definitely a good group there that
Yeah,
you've
class
established.
act.
We'll go into beefing right as soon as we talk about this roundtable. So I think I'm registered for that, and I'm
Okay.
intrigued. So are you opening it up to the masses, or are you guys just kind of going to be sharing best practices there and then just
No,
taking
we're
some
opening up to
questions?
the masses. I think we've all posted it on our socials. We've sent it out in email campaigns. So yes, it is open.
Perfect. Well, I'm looking forward to that. And then I guess let's just go into beefing,
Okay.
if that's all right.
Okay.
So do you mind just kind of talking about that initiative?
Absolutely.
Have you been boots on the ground since it started? Has
I
there been more of
have.
these
And
educational content?
yeah, I have. And if you'll allow me to be transparent,
Sure.
you were asking me about the conferences and that I've been to with the associations, and now we're talking about beefing. For a long time, Jesse, and I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to see this. There are very few people at these conferences that look like me. And I noticed that over the past years that I'd been going, and I'd always ask, different people that were there, friends of mine, Stephanie, May, some of those guys, what is it? Why aren't there more people at these conferences that look like me? And nobody knows. And unless you look like me, you probably don't even think about it. It's not something that you probably even pay attention to. So I think it was last year, I was introduced to a gentleman who was working with George. I think I was at in Charlotte at one of the conferences, and the young man said, hey, we're creating, this organization for Black equipment finance professionals. And, we'd love to know if you'd be interested. I was like, wow, where have you guys been? This is something that I've been thinking about doing. So
Sure.
it's timely, that conversation with the gentleman, and then being introduced to the LinkedIn group, meeting George and Laverne and all of the other, people that are part of the association, the network. So I've been a part of it since inception, pretty much. I haven't been as active as I'd like to be with so many other irons in the fire that I have, but
Yeah.
I'm there, and I'm glad it's an organization that we have. I did attend, I think it was in California recently. We partnered with NIFA, or NIFA partnered with us and gave us a night, and we had a mixer. That was really cool. There were more people at that event that looked like me than I've ever seen, probably in the last 4 or 5 years that I've been attending these types of events. So that's encouraging. And we've got a lot of work to do with beefing. I know you asked, what are we doing with DE and I? And I know that we're partnering with Alpha and NIFA, and they have, I think those associations have DE and I specific boards or panels. And I know some of the people in beefing are working directly with those boards, if not on those boards, to bring diversity, equity, and inclusion to the forefront. So I know that's in the process. We're also working with, from what I understand, the CLFP group. There's a partnership between Cisco and Clark Atlanta University here in Atlanta to bring the CLFP program. And I know they're looking at some of the other HBCUs here in Atlanta to bring on board with that CLFP program. And beefing is in partnership to provide scholarships for some of those students. So we've got a lot of work to do, and we're identifying things that we can do, and we're on it. We're definitely on it.
No, it's and thank you for bringing all that up. And I know at every EF, I don't think you've had the opportunity to come to an EF Cares event yet, but at every EF Cares event, we always talk about DEI. So,
Awesome.
and I now an ally to,
Mhm,
the,
mhm.
to your foundation. And yeah, I mean, I can't relate because when I walk into a room, they all look like me.
Right.
However, I always seem to not be with people that look like me. So it's kind of one of those things where I just, that's my circle that I hang out with
I understand.
is different than the majority of
Mhm,
people, but it is nice when you sit there and you start to see just more diverse from,
right.
from the color of someone's skin to their, sexual orientation.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
It's definitely a more diverse industry now
Right.
than it was when I got in it 18 years
Absolutely.
ago.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's good to know. It's very good to
but
know.
but still more work to be done.
Yes.
And I'm happy that I can call the majority of the people that I am aware that are in beef and
Mhm.
friends,
Good.
and continue to do my part to make sure it's an inclusive community for everyone here.
And we appreciate you.
So
We appreciate you and all of the allies and of course our sponsors. We just really appreciate you guys for seeing the vision with us.
I mean, like overall, I guess going into, if you had to say a percentage of people, what do you say? Probably 10%. You think 10% of a conference? Probably about 5%.
Probably five or less. Five or less.
Interesting.
Hmm.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how we go out and we recruit more people to be a
Right.
part of this.
Right.
Especially with some of the older generation
Hmm.
aging out. Um,
Right.
Definitely interesting to see how that
Mhm.
plays itself out.
I agree. I
So,
agree.
from an educational perspective, will Beef and continue to do some of these roundtables on a
Yes.
regular basis?
Yes, this was Chat GPT is just out there, and George is very enamored with it, as am I and some of the other members. So we wanted this one to be a first one, but we are planning other roundtables in the future. Hopefully, we're quarterly. We're going to be doing something quarterly.
That's excellent. And as far as next in-person event, is that
It's in talks right now. I'm not
okay?
really sure when, but I know it's in talks with one of the larger associations. So hopefully, we'll be announcing that soon.
Okay. Well, excellent, Cheryl. Thank you for thanks for sharing that. Just
Absolutely.
I guess overall thoughts. Sue, it's now your fifth year in equipment finance. What is your thought now when you go to some of these conferences and you get to see like the
Oh man, it's the
relationships
same
that people
shit,
have?
different conference. I didn't say that.
It's okay. I can re-edit. I'll pause real quick.
Am I muted?
No,
Okay.
no, 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 no,
Uh,
no, no, no. But I don't mind. I don't mind sharing it.
oh, I
It's
don't care.
hilarious.
That's fine.
Okay, okay. We'll keep it in here then. But I just
I'd
don't.
honestly like to see, I don't know. I'd honestly like to see, Jesse, just something different than your traditional, oh, we're going to talk about credit. Oh, we're going to talk about being a broker 101. This is every year. And I think at a point, how many broker 101s, how many credits, classes can we have without it just being so repetitious? I think we need to, and this is just me, I think it would be helpful if we put surveys and polls out there to see what are funders and brokers, what are you dealing with today? What kind of roundtable, what kind of topics, what would interest you to bring you to a conference, as opposed to just rehashing the same stuff and putting a little different spin on it. I mean, technology is crazy right now. And I think technology, especially AI, should be at the forefront of what we're talking about in our space.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, you can sit there and you can preach to people all you want, but if it's not what they want to hear or what they need to hear, then what are we really doing?
I mean, you attend these conferences to meet your colleagues and to hang out, and I get it. But when there's more people outside of the classroom than there are inside because, oh, I've heard it all before, that's a problem.
That's fine. And then majority of these people put out surveys. So what are the surveys saying? Where's that
Yeah,
data? And how do we make sure that we're putting together programs that people want to listen to?
I agree.
So I ask everyone who comes on here to give me a little fun fact about themselves. So other than the fact that you got your first loan in the box at 12, what else would you like to share with the audience, Cheryl?
Um, Fun fact. I wouldn't say so much of it is a fun fact as much as it would be a life fact. I am a two-time breast cancer survivor, diagnosed initially in 2006 and diagnosed the second time 15 years to the day. I am cancer free and I'm living life, man. I'm just enjoying life, and I just can't wait to see, what this industry holds for me and my family.
You say 15 years to the day, like the
Mhm,
same exact day.
mhm,
So do
mhm.
we just skip that day moving forward then? That day doesn't exist?
Well, I hope not another 15 years, but I mean, I don't have another
Go.
breast to have cancer in, so.
I appreciate your spirit and willingness to laugh at that. But man, okay. I don't want to know what that date
Yeah,
is
it's pretty
because we
tough.
should just.
The first time I was diagnosed stage 0, the second time stage 2. And, I'm a praying woman, and I'm God fearing, and, God brought me through both times. And like I said, I'm healthy as I want to be right now. And so I'm just enjoying life and looking forward to 2025, when I can, just ride my horse and into the world of AI full time. And yeah, I'm excited.
Good for you. You deserve it for sure. No one should have to go through that once, let alone twice.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I mean, there's a few other people in this industry that I'm aware of. I'm
Mhm,
not sure if you've met them before that have been through it at least once,
mhm, mhm.
but twice and same date.
Yeah,
God bless you.
thank you.
Um, so I guess at the end of the day, why should someone pick up the phone and call Cheryl?
I often hear from customers that I do business with, they like talking to me because I don't have that New York twang. I'm not a fast talker.
What's wrong with being from New York? Come on now.
It's
I,
just
I
it's
can
just what I
I
hear. You don't
I can
sound
I
like
can
you're one of.
I can list them out for you, but yeah.
I'm honest, I'm integral, and I want to do what's best for the customer. I always have the customer's best interest at heart. Um, I'm picking up the phone, Mr. So and so. This just does not sound like something that's going to work for you. I'm a very keep it real type broker, and I keep it real with my clients, and I think they appreciate that. And the same
Perfect.
thing with my funders, the funders that I work with, like I said, I go to these conferences, and, it's typically the same funders that are there. And then the ones that I'm not brokering deals to, I don't mean any disrespect, but, and I told some at the last conference I went to, I'm signed up with who I'm going to be signed up with. I can count on this lender and this lender to do exactly what I need done. I just don't have any need for anybody new. And I think what's important in this industry is relationships. And so maintaining those relationships with the funders that I do have, that's just paramount to me. I've got some really great direct lender relationships that I cherish. And had it not been for the NEFA conferences, the AACFB conferences, where I can put face to, an email or face to a text, I don't know if I don't know if I would be where I am right now in this space. I just think it's important to know who you're doing business with. And I want the funders that I do business with to know me. And most of them do.
Well, excellent. Well, if I did business with you, I would definitely prefer to know you in person too.
Absolutely.
You have a fun personality. It's probably the most time you and I've ever spent. So
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing you at an upcoming event.
absolutely. We're doing the lasso in San Antonio. So
Yeah. I mean, hey, I'll try. I'll give it my all, but don't put me on there to be like the person who shows you what to do. I can be the person that shows you what not to do.
not to do. I got you.
Yeah, but I wouldn't put it past Anne to call me out, so I might just be hiding somewhere right now. right, Cheryl. Well, really appreciate your time today. Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining me and sharing your story. And like I said, look forward to seeing you in San Antonio.
Same here. Thank you.